Well, my name's Andres Rodriguez. I've been doing photography for about 4 years now. It started off as a hobby. I am a teacher as well. I'm a teacher. I've been doing that on and off for the past 6 years. And the photography stuff kind of started off as, like I said, it was a hobby at first. And then I started doing it on the side. I started making a little bit of money, and then it kind of, I realized, hey, you know what, I can actually do this to make some money. So I kind of started a business, and it's been a slow progress. But it's getting there. It's finally starting to pick up. I'm starting to get the recognition that I want. Currently, I am doing it full time, but I'll probably go back to teaching in the fall just to have that steady income, and then, of course, keep building or adding to that with the photography as well. My interest in photography began right after college. I have a bachelor's degree in TV, film, and radio from Pan Am. When I graduated, I wanted to, start working right away. I wanted to be making movies or working, at the TV station or working with some kind of, theater production company, something like that. Something that would allow me to use my video skills and my tech skills and things like that. I got married kind of young, and I needed to start making money. So I went into teaching, and I still wanted to do video. Unfortunately, I couldn't get a job doing video because I didn't have enough real-world experience. I started off teaching drama, and then from there I went up to teaching technical theater, which was, building the sets, lighting the sets, sound, and all that stuff. And I still had that, desire to do video and things like that, but I couldn't afford it. So I didn't want to buy those HD cameras, so I decided to buy a point-and-shoot camera first. I quickly realized that it just wasn't enough. I needed something bigger. I needed something better, faster. And it just so happened, I was looking on Craigslist one day, and I saw an ad for a company that was looking for a sports photographer. So I went to the guy, I approached him, I called him, and I said, hey, I'm interested in doing this. Why don't you give me a shot? He's like, well, come on in, I'll see some of your work or whatever, and I'll explain to you, what I'm looking for and what the job entails. He kind of showed me a little bit about how the business worked. He taught me how to be a better photographer, how to work my settings and things like that to capture the action and all that stuff. And it just started escalating from there. I started learning how to run the tournaments, how to sell those photos on the site. And I was still teaching also. So I was doing this mainly after school, after work, and on the weekends. I forgot about video, and I said, you know what, I like the photography. It's really cool, I get to take all these crazy pictures. I get to be in the action. I get to do all this other crazy stuff. After my third year of teaching, I said, you know what, I don't know if I want to continue teaching. This is really not something that, it's not making me as happy as I would like to be. So I quit teaching, and I took out my TRS. It was a bit of an adjustment period. It was kind of hard because being a teacher, you come from, making so much money to now all of a sudden I'm not making anything. So I had bills to pay. I had a new car. I had a house. I had, my daughter had just been born and things like that. So it was tough. What I did was I said, you know what, I have so much sports experience, and I have all these contacts from my teaching job. Since I was a part of the fine arts, I was teaching theater and things like that, I knew a lot of the dance teachers. I knew a lot of the coaches. Being that I was from the district that I was teaching at, I still had a lot of friends that were teaching in that district as well. Those friends have kind of kept me afloat since I've started. I've been very fortunate that they've continued to call me and provide the photography for their teams and their sports and things like that. If it wasn't for that, I don't think I'd be where I'm at right now. I have two different businesses. One is Portraits in Action, and the other is Andy Rodriguez Photography. The difference between the two basically is Portraits in Action is more of the athletic, fine art photography, which is what I do for the schools and things like that. And then, of course, I have Andy Rodriguez Photography. That's kind of new. This business is more for creative portraits, more higher-end products, more of a higher quality service for potential clients and things like that. The first one is portraitsinaction.online.com, and the second one is arodsphotography.com. It's arodzphotography.com. The stuff that I use is my D700. I started off with an 80-200 telephoto lens, and I had a 24 prime lens. I had a 50 1.4 prime lens, and then I have my 16-85. It's pretty much just a kit lens on steroids. But usually for my portraits, like for the Andy Rodriguez stuff, I use my prime lenses, which would be the 24 and the 50. And then for the most part, I shoot almost everything with my 80 to 200. I don't really shoot much without it. Am I making money from photography? Well, yes and no. Yes and no. I mean, photography is a tough market to sell. I mean, it's a luxury market. It's not something that people need. You know, it's something that people want, and not everybody can afford. I believe I could be making more money, but the way that I've handled my business has never been the I'm going to go out there and I'm going to go see how much money I can make, you know, approach. My approach has always been like, I'm a pretty good shooter. I think I do pretty well. My photography is pretty good. I think if people see what I do, they'll come find me, you know, and that's not really the kind of attitude you need to have in photography. You know, you really need to find a way to push yourself and you know, show your work and go out there and find your clients and things like that. But I guess since I've always had my teaching stuff to fall back on, it's kind of just like, if I make money, good. If I don't, then I can always start teaching. Like I said, my school stuff is pretty consistent. You know, I don't like to say numbers or anything like that, but I mean, there's certain products and there's certain services that I do offer to the schools that will give me, you know, a good amount of money, and then there's some that, you know, barely bring in anything. As far as the portraits go, it's been a bit of a struggle. It's been a bit of a struggle, and a lot of it I got to say is my fault, because I was very picky when I started. So I'm finally starting to bounce back from that, and it's like, you know, down in the valley, it's not necessarily overly saturated, but I mean, it's not a very big area. As big as we'd like to think it is, it's really not that big. There's quite a bit of photographers, so you really got to find a way to stand out. And it's been a bit of a difficult road. It's been hard to get the kind of clients that you want to get, and it's been kind of a slow process. But I think it's finally starting to pick up. You know, with my whole, you know, attitude changing and things like that, I think I've kind of opened myself a little bit more to bigger and better possibilities. In 5 years, I do hope to be a little bit more consistent, more steady in the work that I'm getting. I hope to kind of establish myself in the community, in the area, as kind of not the go-to photographer, but as a photographer that's pretty, you know, well-known and that's pretty reputable. Even if I'm teaching, you know, I still plan to do this on the side, continue my photography, and hopefully, you know, build a steadier client base and form of income. My advice to starting photographers would be to take the time to learn the craft. Okay, take the time to learn the craft and really think about what you hope to do with the photography. Like, are you going to start a business? Is this what you're going to do? Is this what you're going to do on the side? And things like that. I mean, you got to really plan that out first. You can't just grab a camera and say, hey, you know what, I like taking pictures, I'm going to go and take pictures. You know, you want to pay me, that's great. I mean, you're not really helping anybody by doing that. And at the same time, too, I mean, nobody gets paid to go to school. You know, you got to take the time, put in your time, pay your dues, you know, learn as much as you can, and just practice, keep practicing. I mean, practice with your friends, practice with your family, anybody that you can practice with. If you don't feel comfortable accepting money, don't take money for it, because you're only hurting yourself, and you're only hurting other people too. That's pretty much all I have.